So now we're going to move on to the EIDL is what everyone's calling it, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and Emergency Advance. Now, everybody got really excited. I don't know about you, but I was there at midnight clicking it in for that $10,000 free advance for my business that was going to be there in 72 hours. Well, the SBA has very quickly come back and said, hold the cart. We are so sorry. That is not what we are able to do. We are willing to advance you up to that lovely up to $10,000 to every business. They factor that based on the numbers of employees that you have. They will not tell us what their formula is, but most small businesses are not seeing that $10,000 advance. In fact, I've yet to hear of one business that's actually gotten the advance, but I have heard of several that have gotten the loans. So what they're telling us now is once you've applied, a loan officer will reach out to you and discuss your options. For small businesses, it's a 3.75% fixed interest rate, which is pretty phenomenal. For nonprofits, it's 2.75. And that's any nonprofit, not just your 501c3. So all those ones that nonprofits that didn't qualify under the PPP will qualify under this, the EIDL loan. So keep that in mind. For employers that play contract labor, this is where you're probably going to find your solution. Repayment is up to 30 years with 4 years for deferment. So depending on your loan amount, they'll determine how many years you have to pay it back. So clarification for the application. They're going to ask for gross revenues for their 12 prior months, and they're going to ask for cost of goods sold. What they mean with cost of goods sold is what does it take to deliver your product? So if you're not buying inventory, most of us think of cost of goods sold as the cost of the inventory we bought to resell. Well, it's the cost of me being here or Meredith delivering what she delivers to the community. That is her cost of goods sold. You and I would consider that operation costs. They spelled that out in the nonprofit world, but they did not for us. So these are,
Lisa,
go ahead.
Oh. Just real quick, clarify that. I think people think we're only talking nonprofits. It's small businesses too. Everything that we're discussing is pertinent to small businesses and nonprofits.
The EIDL is designed for your small business, but it's also what's going to save those nonprofits that don't fit into the PPP program.
And can you really quickly clarify the individual piece about what the clarifications coming out on what 1099 contractors and self-employed are to do? Yes,
absolutely. So for the EIDL, everyone is eligible for the EIDL if you file a tax return with that 1099. So you're going to have business write-offs. You're going to have a Schedule C. If you have a Schedule C, you go and you are eligible for that EIDL, and they will determine how much you're eligible for. You are also allowed to apply for the PPP under that parameter. But I'll just use myself as an example. I'm a sole proprietor, $55,000 in 1099s last year. After write-offs, I netted out $20,000 in profit, which equated to about $3,000 on the formula to help me. So for most sole proprietors, it's not going to be that big a picture. So that's where I have to go to the EIDL and I have to say, listen, it costs me $25,000 a year to do what I do and make this $20,000. You're going to have to help me out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, good.
Okay, so now we're also talking about this lovely advance. And so I'm going to include how it works, even though I've yet to see anyone get an advance. Let's hope they happen. Assume that the EIDL, they gave you $10,000 upfront as an advance for your business. And then you finished all of your PPP application. And with that PPP, you became eligible for $28,000. They're going to fund you $18,000. They're going to refinance it and give you a loan for $28,000. They're going to combine the $10,000 advance to your total PPP loan, and you're going to be able to have all of it forgiven. The payouts will just come in 2 separate checks. Does that make sense?
No questions in the chat box, so yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear one thing I think that you should add that maybe you didn't mention is that it's not, I'm going to go back one slide. It's not a given that businesses get $10,000. It's up to $10,000 And there's a formula that they're using, which is not being released, to determine what you're allowed to have. And there's kind of rumors that that could be only like $800 to $1,000 per employee. So if you're a real small shop, it's not $10,000. So don't be fooled by this this carrot the federal government is holding out there. The loans are amazing interest rates. It's still a great opportunity to hold some businesses over. Just be realistic that this is not like an immediate 10 grand check that will be
That's a really good point, Meredith. I kind of equated it in my mind once I got over the sticker shock of where's my $10,000, that I am being given an opportunity to bail myself out at an affordable interest rate without being a further burden on our economy and our country. And so I am super thrilled that the loans are a possibility. The other thing I really want to clarify is everybody said $10,000 advance, and if you don't take the loan, it's free money. So let's talk about that. If this happens and they do put an advance in your bank account and they call you and say, okay, you're approved for a $42,000 loan for, 4 years or 10 years or whatever, and they put $2,000 in your bank account before they offered it to you, and you say, no, I don't want it, then yes, you do get to keep that advance. You don't have to pay that back. But I have yet to see that happen. I think that was a pie in the sky possibility. Now, this slide is your application number. And this number is shorter than most because we took off the personal sides of it, but you've got to save that number. This is the only way they can find you if you want to call in and ask any questions. They won't find you by your social. They won't look you up by your EIN. They're not going to find you. In fact, they'll tell you, go apply again. You may not really have an application in. Well, I'm sure I had an application in. I saw the number, but I didn't write it down. So I learned that lesson the hard way. Get that number, print that screen, save it. So what not to do? You cannot use the EIDL or the PPP to refinance any existing debt. You cannot use it to finance a capital project. It is meant to pay off the credit cards that you incurred to stay alive right now from February 15th forward. And that's pretty much it. Keep your employees hired. And it's not meant to replace the income lost. It's meant to cover operations costs. So you may have lost $400,000 in revenue, but it only cost you $100,000 to stay in business and eke out till next year. They're going to help you find that $100,000. They don't care about the $400,000. And I think that's about it.
Nice. Okay, I can take it from here. So yeah, we'll keep getting to these questions as much as we can, but we'll definitely hit them in our FAQ that we'll submit after the session's over. So the biggest thing I want to offer to those of you that are nonprofits or you work for a tribe or a municipal government or whatever, it's a hang tight because funding will continue to roll out as it's being deployed through our federal departments. So the CARES Act, when you skim through all 830 pages of it, you'll see there's grant funding coming for health centers, telehealth, workforce training, economic stabilization, agriculture, rural utilities and broadband, child nutrition, etc. For those of you, just because I work with a lot, oops, I get so click happy. Those of you, because I work with a lot of tribes, I'm tracking these. So just for the handful of you that are calling in from that perspective, the CDC has a program open right now. And you should apply even if you're not technically eligible for that program. They want you to so that you're eligible for future funding. And with HUD, we expect $200 million to come out through their Indian Housing Block Grant and another $100 million for the Indian Community Development Block Grant, which are great opportunities.